Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. All right, today we got a very special video. We're going to be going over gun maintenance, and this is meant to be kind of 101 level, real basic, entry-level type stuff. And it could be a daunting task to take care of your firearms if you're not familiar with the tools and the equipment necessary to do the job. There's some safety considerations as well as equipment considerations that we are going to go over here in this particular video. If you're not familiar with our channel and some of the things that we've done in the past, we have a ton of videos that are geared towards new gun owners. Everything from helping you pick out the perfect EDC, to choosing the correct ammunition, to different shotgun ammo, to gun safety. We've done a lot of videos over the last couple of years that we feel are geared towards helping out someone that is new to the shooting world. That's very important for us as we bring more people into the fold of the Second Amendment community. We want them to make sure they're equipped with the knowledge and tools that they need to be successful in that endeavor. And keeping your gun maintained is most certainly a very important thing. The best way to think about it in terms of comparisons is think about your vehicle, right? There are certain things with your vehicle that you do on a regular basis, right? You change the oil, you rotate the tires, you do brake pads, air filters, all of those types of stuff, fluids, windshield wiper fluid, all the things that are consumables that you go through and you use, right, on your vehicle. And when we look at our vehicle, all right, who works on our vehicle? A mechanic, right? Well, a gunsmith is the mechanic for guns. So that whenever you're having a problem with your firearm and you take it in, the gunsmith is going to be the one that peeks under the hood, so to speak. Now, as a gun owner, there are a lot of things that you can just do on your own to keep your firearm running for a long time before you wind up running into any type of a problem, okay? Keeping the gun clean is definitely an important thing. Our friends at Shooter's Choice was actually kind enough to send us their bullseye box. And this particular kit is awesome because it has a little bit of everything that you need to take care of pistols, rifles, and shotguns alike. Now, all three of those different firearms types do require a little bit of specialized equipment in order to take care of. Shotguns are smooth bore, and they have very large bores, so you have to have a relatively large brush to clean the bore on a shotgun. Likewise, okay, a rifle has a very long barrel, so you have to have, in this case, a universal cleaning rod that has all of these sections you can put together, or we can just keep this thing short and use it with a pistol like what we're going to clean here. Now, this is a CZ SP01. This is a great handgun. This one's wearing a Huxworks Rad 9 suppressor. We're going to go ahead and just pull the can off. Actually, first, we'll clear it. All right, good to go. Empty mag, empty chamber. All right, we're going to pull the can off. Now, when you're dealing with, let's just say, cleaning your firearm, you obviously want to make sure that the firearm is unloaded and safe and clear and all of that good stuff. Now, here's the thing. There is a different disassembly procedure for every firearm that you're going to run into, okay? So refer to the instructions and disassemble the firearm as far as you feel comfortable doing it, okay? For most people, that's going to be a field strip type of arrangement where you're basically on a pistol, you're going to remove the slide in the barrel and kind of clean the best you can. You don't have to do a detailed strip on your handgun to be able to keep it running fairly decent. Now, if you get into a situation where, let's say down the road, you've got to respring the gun or maybe change out some sights or some type of thing like that, then yeah, you're going to have to disassemble a little further, but that's what you're generally going to do. Now, this particular video, the information I'm going to go over is relatively universal, and you can apply this to pistols, rifles, and shotguns. That's why I wanted to show off the bullseye box, because it does have a lot of really cool stuff in it. And I'll explain, the use of some of this equipment. One thing I want to mention before we get too far in this particular video as well is you also want to consider lead exposure. Otis sells these lead cleaning hand wipes. So I wanted to just make a quick safety note that shooting firearms does expose you to lead vapor, all right? Because what happens is those projectiles are passing down the barrel, they will strip off bits of lead, and the heat from the combustion of the powder, if you have an exposed lead base on a projectile, which a lot of projectiles have an exposed lead base, or they're a lead projectile in general, you will get bits of lead vapor that get into the air, that will get onto your hands, on your clothing, Basically anything near this firearm will have the opportunity to get some form of lead vapor or lead residue on the firearm, the magazines, the ammunition. You know, you're handling ammunition when you're loading your gun and shooting at the range or whatever. So lead exposure is something I want to just take a moment to talk about, that you want to make sure that you are cleaning all of the lead off of your skin. Now, there's a couple of ways for cleaning your gun you can get around that a bit. One is to wear nitrile gloves while you're disassembling your pistol to clean. I've done that quite a bit, especially in military armory when you're cleaning, you know, Ma Deuce machine guns that have had, you know, thousands of rounds put through them over a weekend or something. Those things are skanky, and you're going to be wearing some of this crap all over you. So, you know, you can always break out the nitrile gloves if you want to protect your hands while you're cleaning. You can do that if you wish. It's not a problem. Another thing that you probably want to think about is like some type of a cleaning mat. That could be everything from just like an old towel or something that maybe you want to lay out to actual, you know, neoprene mats that they make specifically for gun cleaning that are soft and will keep, you know, from scratching up your finish and everything. So I just wanted to mainly discuss that lead exposure real quick just to let people know how important that is. Now, without going too crazy far down the rabbit hole, there are a lot of different ways that these products can be used, okay, and we are going to go over that. For instance, these FP10 lubricant wipes. In this particular setup, you basically have wipes that are already pre-impregnated with lubricant, and the FP10 as a product, it will clean, protect, and you can oil up your firearm and everything like that, okay? They also have like spray cans, like this Quick Scrub Shooter's Choice makes. Now this kind of takes the grunt work out of it. This is an aerosol can, and you literally just disassemble the gun, and it's, you ever use oven cleaner to clean an oven? All right, you notice how when you spray it, all the gunk just kind of melts away and disappears, and it just gets it right out of here? All right, same type of thing. Okay, you disassemble the pistol, spray it down with this scrubber, dry it off, and then you clean all the crap off. And this can really take the grunt work out of cleaning your pistols as well. There's things such as this foaming bore cleaner. We'll probably utilize this in today's video. So I wanted to give you an idea that basically the way that you're going to take your cleaning products and sort of categorize them is essentially you've got solvents and cleaning items, and you have oils and protectants. Solvents remove all of the crap out of the gun, and then oils protect, you know, the bare metal, or to, you know, apply a protective finish to the firearm. That's kind of the real bare bones basic 101 way of breaking it down. Okay, solvents break down all the crap, and then oil protects the clean metal after you're done. That's a real super basic. Now, we've got our bullseye kit. There's a couple of other pieces of gear that I think that every gun owner should have, and I just want to quickly mention this. One is the Brownells Magnatip driver set. Now, this one's been around the block. This particular latch on this box is a little jacked up, okay? I have to keep a piece of duct tape on there to keep it shut. I've had this set about, you know, probably 10 or 12 years. But it's got all of your various gunsmithing tips and driver tips and things. And that can be helpful for disassembling various pistols, rifles, and shotguns. Not a necessity, you don't have to have it, but it sure is a nice thing to have. As you get involved in more guns, you're going to come across things you're going to wish you had a proper gunsmithing set. And the reason I mention that is because with the hollow ground bits that they use, they fill the screw head up completely, not only in width, but also the depth of the screw. Okay, so gunsmithing screwdriver bits are made specifically for gunsmithing applications, so you don't booger up the screws, so you can keep everything looking right and prevent damage to a screw. That's very important. Just want to mention that. Also, another crucial piece of gear, these things are not expensive, but this is the little Brownells gunsmithing hammer. With one end of it is nylon and one end is brass for, you know, you might have to drive a projectile out of a forcing cone that might have had a squib, or you might have to apply, like we're about to do on the CZ, a little bit of, let's just say, force to get this locking pin out of here. All right. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble this CZ. Now, every pistol's a little bit different, so apply Obviously, the instructions, go have a look at the instructions and apply those instructions to the situation. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this pistol apart. We've already verified that it's empty. There's a little witness mark on the CZs. You just cheat them back. And I like to take this little guy here and just give it a little knock like that. All right. And that's going to allow us to pull this out. Oh, wow. Yeah. So this particular pistol gets used with a suppressor a lot, as you just saw here. And she is pretty skanky, pretty nasty. There's a lot going on here, and we can totally use everything in this bullseye box to get things clean. I'm going to go ahead and put on some nitrile gloves, you know, just to make cleanup a little bit easier. So when I'm done, I don't have, you know, so much of this crap all over my hands. So when you burn gunpowder, it leaves behind this really nasty black residue. It's a carbon-based residue. We just call it carbon, you know. Carbon buildup, carbon fouling. You'll hear it, you know, referred to by many different terms and things like that. And also, what you'll get too, as you know, as you're shooting various firearms, in this case, especially pistols, as the rounds strip out of the magazine, okay, the rounds strip out of the magazine and are loaded into the chamber, and there is a loading and ejection cycle and extracting cycle that occurs with a semi-automatic handgun, okay? And all of that movement and rubbing and wear will actually wind up ripping off itty-bitty little chunks of brass. You'll get little bits of brass shavings. You'll get the fouling and carbon buildup from the actual, you know, powder that gets burned. Okay, and in some cases, you can get lead buildup as well. So while you're handling a firearm that has been shot a lot, you need to bear in mind that any and all of those substances can and will be on this firearm in some way, shape, or form, and that you can be exposed to those items. So just keep that in mind. Like, you know, use your lead cleaning wipes, wear protective equipment, so on and so forth. I'm just going to show you, right? So right now, my fingers are pretty clean. You can see, all right? I'm just gonna grab my finger and run it in here. Look at that. See that black? I mean, that's all throughout this gun, anywhere where that burning powder's been exposed. So that's where the cleaning kit comes in. So this kit has got all kinds of useful stuff in it, right? I mean, right here we got some real nice microfiber cleaning rags. Look at that. This one's kind of got a little bit more size. So I'll tell you what, we'll take this and lay it out, okay, so that we're not getting crap all over our countertop, okay, and that just gives me instant feedback there to be able to handle that. All right, we'll go ahead and put one of our cleaning rods together, and I don't have to go with very much length, okay, because we're only doing a pistol, so I can just get away with the tool holder itself and the brush. Now this particular brush is a phosphor bronze. Okay, they do a lot of different ones. They have nylon brushes. There's some different materials, but generally, most of them, you know, you're going to use some form of phosphor bronze brush because it's going to get in there and aggressively get after the lands and grooves and get all the crap out of the barrel. You can notice that it's on ball bearings, so the handle spins. That way, the reason for that is as you push it through the barrel, it actually moves with the rifling as it is traveling down the barrel when you're cleaning. And that way you're not, you know, providing any weird resistance against the lands and grooves of the barrel. So they actually cut lands and grooves in the barrel to impart spin on the projectile. So that's why when you look down a rifle barrel or a pistol barrel, you see that spin. And right here, this thing is filthy. It is absolutely full of all kind of grime and crap and stuff. So if I wanted to, I could take some of this bore cleaner. All right, it's got like a little, you know, little nozzle here. I'm pretty sure I ripped the safety off this. All right, look, we can just squirt a little bit of this in here. Doesn't take much. It's just a foaming bore cleaner. Literally, just that little bit, okay? We're gonna let that expand and just hang out on the bore for a minute, okay? See, I can just wipe this back down and then just set this back over here. So that's your foaming bore cleaner. Now, that particular product doesn't come in the bullseye box, but I figured we would try it out. Now, if you didn't have the foaming bore cleaner and you want to use some type of a solvent, you notice here you've got the MC7, not MC Hammer, MC7, and then you got the FP10, which is your cleaning lubricant. Okay, one is a solvent and one is a oil. So that's the way to super basically break this down in a way that's easy to understand. Okay, let's look here. We've got various jags and attachments. All right, look, we got a variety of brushes here. All right, this is a steel brush. Now you obviously want to be careful what you use this on. This is only for the worst of things that you got to try to get, a bunch of crap off your gun. You've got a nylon bristle brush. Nothing more than an over-glorified toothbrush, essentially. And then now you've got a phosphor bronze brush. So this is kind of medium duty. And of course, as these break in, these bristles get a little bit softer, and I feel like they clean a little bit better as they get broke in a bit. So what I tend to do, especially if it's not super built up, go ahead and take the nylon bristle brush, and you can literally just take some of this MC7, all right? And we'll just put a little bit on the brush itself here. And while that foaming bore cleaner is working inside of the barrel, we can go ahead and take some of the solvent, and literally just all you're doing is you're going to look at your pistol and just see where the dirt and nasty stuff is and just start scrubbing it, okay? So we're going to get in there and we're just going to clean, okay? I mean, everything from the little slide serrations can get little bits of dirt and crap in there. You've got the rails on the slide itself that ride on the lower frame rails. All of that can get dirt and carbon and all kind of mess in there. It's okay to break a little bit out. Don't get crazy. It doesn't take much. Get in there and clean this thing with some solvent, just like this. Okay. Now, you want to be a little bit careful with solvents, okay? Solvents are great. They will help get a lot of this crap free and clean off of here. But solvents can be a little bit problematic on some polymers. So keep that in mind, that solvents are great for removing carbon and getting the gun clean, but you don't want to leave the solvents on too crazy long. You want to get in there and get your cleaning done and get everything off of there and then clean it off, okay? The solvents are great for removing oil and removing all kind of nasty stuff. It helps break everything down. It's a good cleaning agent. And look at all that carbon we're pulling off. Look. I mean, it's just nasty, right? All right, we got another one of these microfiber cloths. They're kind of large. I probably would prefer one a little smaller. We can literally just take this, get in there and wipe everything down. Okay. Now the way that we're doing this is more of a, just traditional old school way of cleaning guns. There are things such as ultrasonic cleaners and, some more advanced, more industrial ways to clean your firearms that you can get into as you become more advanced in the firearms world and you want to really save yourself some time. There are other options. But from a 101 standpoint, I felt like this video was something that was kind of needed and it was very important. And the fact that they were nice enough to send me this kit, this was a perfect opportunity for me to show, that you can buy something right out the gate that is ready to go and it is available. Okay, so that's not bad. We got this thing cleaned up pretty well. Now, what if I've got to be able to get in here, right? There's all these little cracks and crevices and nuance areas here that we can get into. What I like to do, so this kit also comes with cleaning patches. All right, they're usually cotton. All right, you can take now we've still got that foaming bore cleaner working. You can take your cleaning brush, and what I like to do is just wrap them like this. Okay, and because the bristles are pretty stiff, especially because this is a new brush right out of the box, it kind of keeps it on there, right? So I can take this and I can either put solvent on this. In fact, we'll put some MC7 on there. We'll soak this patch down with some solvent. Now mind you that this is we're doing this by hand, okay? And I can literally come in from the front. Look at that. Get in there just like this. Okay? Let's get in there and cleaning as much of that out of there as we can. So you can use it, as a tool, to control your workpiece a little bit here. That's getting out of there real nice. These CZs are very finely fitted guns. I've always been very, very pleased with these pistols. All right, so you can see, look at all that dirt and carbon that came off onto that patch. All right, so you can have yourself, maybe just an old bag or something, or a small trash bag, or what I do is when you have your grocery sacks left over from when you go grocery shopping, just take your grocery sack and hang it from your bench, and all your used patches and things, you can just toss them in there so you can dispose of them properly. Because remember, now this patch has lead residue and carbon and all kind of nasty stuff on it, not to mention solvent, which is certainly something you don't want to, breathe in fumes and get it near your kids or your pets or animals. So you want to make sure you dispose of these in the trash, preferably in a bag that's tied up, just like you would dispose of a, let's just say, a baby diaper. Okay, you want to probably treat it the same way. All right, I'm going to show you a couple of other accessories. Now, check this out. So, pop this off, and you've got these special Q-tips. Basically, it's not much different than a Q-tip that you would buy from, the store in the cosmetic section or whatever, the grocery store. But these have a longer handle to increase your reach, and they're a little bit more rigid than some of the Q-tips you can just buy from the store. So this type of tool, obviously, for some of these real tight areas, you can get in there and just really clean some of those angles, like those hard 90-degree angles that are really hard to get in there and clean with like a soft cloth. You can get in there, like the locking lug recesses for the barrel. I can get in there and just, look at that, get in there and clean that out really good, just like this, okay? Anywhere we've got hard angles or really tight, hard little spot to get into, that's what these are for, okay? I'm going to show you something else. These are pipe cleaners, all right? Honestly, that's all they are, is pipe cleaners. The same exact type of thing that, you'd buy at a smoke shop or whatever, or anything like that. Now, these pipe cleaners can be used to get into very, very fine little itty-bitty spots where it might be hard to get a Q-tip in there, like this little bitty slot right here, okay? It's hard to see, but basically, depending on the type of gun that you're dealing with, there's always going to be some little tiny crevice. Like, see right there, I'm going to rub in there. I cannot get a Q-tip in here, and look, see I pulled out some little black and carbon on there. Also, if you've got to get in like an AR bolt or a shotgun bolt or anything like that where you've got to get into a tiny little channel or a recess, a firing pin channel, something like that, that's what those pipe cleaners are for. So the thing is, you get this carbon buildup, and as it builds up, it can cause the pistol or rifle or shotgun to not function correctly. All right, that could be anything from the slide not being able to go into battery all the way, or let's say you get a lot of buildup in these locking lug recesses, and over time the barrel starts to act a little sluggish. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen. You have a robbing of performance the dirtier the gun gets. So the reason you clean your firearms on a regular basis is so that you're doing preventative maintenance that will make sure that you don't have a problem. If you need your gun to defend yourself, you definitely don't want to have some dirty pistol that could potentially have some sort of a problem. So what you're essentially doing when you're cleaning your firearm is you're removing any variable that could cause some type of an issue. Maybe you went out and you trained and you got a whole bunch of mud and dirt in your gun that you didn't even realize was in there, and you just went back to doing your thing and didn't think about, oh crap, this thing actually was in very, much in need of maintenance, right? So that's one of the things that we do. When we're cleaning our firearms, you're looking, you're inspecting, you're looking for broken parts. Now, for some of you that are new to this, I understand that at the end of the day, it might be difficult for you to know something is wrong if you haven't dealt with guns enough. I understand that. But you need to kind of think like a detective, right? Like when you're taking your pistol apart, look for anything that could be out of line, something that doesn't seem right, right? Do you look, okay, I don't have to be a gunsmith, right, to look down and see this little spring in this gun, right, and realize, okay, if the foot of that spring was broken off or bent or snapped or looked weird, I'd go, okay, something is off. Or let's say that, you're working the safety or you're working the trigger, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden the trigger is like doesn't return all the way. I have to push it forward or something. Okay, well your trigger return spring could be worn out a little bit. So you have to sort of play gun detective a little bit when you're cleaning your firearm. And that's one of the nice things about manually cleaning your firearm versus using something like a machine or an ultrasonic. This forces you to be a little bit more invested in each individual firearm. It allows you to check for wear a little bit more. And as these parts begin to wear together, you'll be able to see these little wear marks and little patterns that start to develop. And that tells you, okay, this is where the firearm is wearing the most, and that's where you're going to want to probably apply a little bit more lubricant or grease, which we're going to get to that. So let's check our barrel. And look, guys, I'm giving you the basic 101. I'm trying to give you some tips and tricks and some things that you can look at to get yourself pointed in the right direction. This is not an end-all, do-all gun cleaning video. But this is just to get, I'm trying to pass along some of the things that I've learned over the years. All right, we're going to take a couple of patches. Now, you want to push from the chamber end forward. Now, okay. Ooh. Now, I'm going to warn you right here. You're going to get a lot of varying opinions on how this particular situation should be handled. Now, technically, you clean from the chamber end forward, okay? And what you're supposed to do, boys and girls, what you're supposed to do is, that's why this thing is on its own individual little jag right here. You're supposed to pull this off and then pull the rod back out and then put it back on and push through from the chamber forward, okay? Just like that. Now, that's what you're supposed to do. I will pull the cleaning jag or the cleaning brush back through in the opposite direction on handguns. I've never seen a real degradation of accuracy or issues, but there are people out there, I'm just warning you, that will tell you that if you bring the brush back through the gun and don't go from chamber to bore end each time, that you'll somehow mess up and degrade the accuracy. Now, I want to just mention that, okay, on a really fancy match grade barrel, okay, so there's barrels out there that are super high end, okay, and they are very, very specifically made, and yes, you want to be very careful how you clean those barrels. For instance, like a really nice match grade rifle barrel that's like a $1,200 barrel on a real high-end bolt gun or something. Yes, they make special coated rods, they make special bore guides, you know, that's why they make the nylon brushes, so you can be real gentle and not apply a lot of undue stress on the barrel, because a lot of those barrels are hand lapped and hand fitted, and they're super nice in terms of the polish and the profile of the barrel. Now, for your average pistol barrel, do you need to be that anal about it? Probably not. But I'm just telling you that from a standpoint of gun cleaning 101, just understand that you're going to clean from chamber to muzzle, and you only want the brush or the jag or the patch to travel in the axis and direction that the bullet travels. That's what you will always be told. Doesn't necessarily mean that you can't just pull it back through. Just want to kind of put that out there. Now, what I like to do, now, again, this is another area where people might disagree with my methods, but I'm just telling you what's worked for me over the years. You can set up a jag on this thing or a patch pusher if you want. So the 9mm/38 patch pusher looks like this. I'll tell you what, since it came with the kit, I'll go ahead and show you how it's used, and then I'll show you a way that I clean with patches in terms of the bore, okay? So this jag right here has got like a sharpened point, and you can literally just take a patch and pop it through kind of like this. And the idea is that the exterior of this jag fits the bore relatively tight, and as that patch expands, it just creates almost like a plug like this. All right, I'll demonstrate that. So I should be able to just push this through, just like that. Now see, that was a nice tight fit. Now I can pull this back through because it's not actually impacting. And you can see the way that that jag removed some of the carbon and everything from the actual barrel, okay? Now if we go ahead and have a look at the barrel, I mean, she's pretty clean. I don't see a single scrap of lead residue or anything that looks built up at all. So that foaming bore cleaner did a pretty freaking good job there. Now this gun has had a heck of a lot of rounds put through it. I have not cleaned this gun in forever, so it's actually looking pretty solid considering the amount of round count. We're probably talking, it's probably had about 2,500 rounds put through this sucker in about the last 2.5, 3 years, and I'll admit I have not cleaned this gun in a very long time, so I wanted to show you what that kind of, you know, buildup can look like. So that's your barrel. So essentially, you're going to apply some solvent or cleaner and run it down the barrel, get everything looking right, and then you're going to follow up with some form of oil, and that's where the FP10 comes into play. So once you've cleaned your barrel and you're satisfied with that, all right, we can also grab our nylon brush, which already has some solvent on it, and again, where the locking lug recesses on the top of the barrel lock into the slide, we can clean those on the barrel itself as well. You can clean the hood, this little locking surface, all this stuff, and also the feed ram. So where the rounds feed up into the barrel, you want to make sure that's clean and smooth, so you can get in there and just clean that with a brush. All right, this particular barrel's threaded. You want to make sure that the threads are clean. Okay, you can get some buildup on those threads. All right, so we just applied some solvent. We can literally just take our microfiber cloth and go ahead and just wipe everything as clean as we can get it. Now, if you want to see if something's going to pass the test or not, now the way the military does it is like a white glove test. So let's say that you've cleaned this and you're like, all right, I'm happy, it's clean. Is it? Take a white patch and just run it around. No carbon, right? Around the bottom, threads, no carbon, very little, right? So that's one way you can check to see if your item's clean or not. Believe me, if it ain't clean, you're gonna pull all kind of black crap off of it when you wipe it with a white cloth. So I'm gonna go ahead and scrub. I wanted to show you that jag, okay, for pushing the patches through, and those are caliber specific. So this kit, the Bullseye box, does come with a variety of different size bore brushes and jags and mops. So this is a 38 caliber mop. All right, so you can see this is literally just a cloth mop for applying very gentle cleaning pressure to the pistol. So let's say you have like a really high-end gun, like an STI or something like that, and you want to be real gentle on the bore. You can let the solvent do the work, and instead of putting a brush down it, you can put a cleaning mop down it, what we call a mop. And you can soak these mops up with solvent, oil, whatever you want, and it's a more gentle way to clean the gun. And it's also a great way for just making sure you get every little bit of residue out of there. Now, as the mops get wore out and they get real dirty, they can be kind of hard to reuse. So what I like to do, and this is Eric talking here, the way I like to do it is I take a bore brush and a small patch, or I take a pair of scissors and maybe cut one of these patches in half, and I use that to push it down the barrel. Right, so even that little patch I just put on there, I'm going to push it through. And look at that. So we actually pulled out a lot of mess out of this barrel that the other patch didn't get. You know, see how tight of a fit that was? And I was able to use a little bitty tiny patch. All right, so it's not as wasteful. You're not wasting material quite as much to do it that way. All right, we're going to look at this barrel. It looks fantastic. It's nice and clean, so we're done with the barrel. The slide looks pretty good. I don't really have any complaints there. And remember, this is just kind of a quick and dirty cleaning that we're doing here. I mean, it can be as detailed or basic as you want, depending on what your needs are. So if you get to cleaning on it and you notice it's real skanky, well, then you need to keep cleaning. All right, so it's real easy. All right, I'm not trying to overcomplicate this process. I mean, at the end of the day, you're just cleaning it, right? The same way you'd clean anything. This just happens to be a firearm, okay? Recoil rod assembly looks good. That looks good. All right, we're going to check out the lower. Now, this is also where, let's say, like the Brownells kit might come into play. All right, if I needed to remove screws from the grips to take the grips off, why don't we do that? All right, so I'm going to grab the Brownells kit, and I'm going to grab a Phillips. Now, look, not to talk any crap on CZ. And that's not what this is about, but I never could understand why on these they decided to go with a Phillips screw on the grips. That is a little odd, but be that as it may, here we are. All right, these are VZ grips, very nice grips, and I'm going to show you why we're pulling the grips off here in a moment. Because we're going to test out this gun scrubber can. Okay. All right, there's our grips. So you can see why having the you know, gunsmithing set is handy for little things like removing the grips, you know. So if you're going to get in there and clean your own firearm, you need to be able to just do simple things like take grips off and things like that. All right, so here's the frame without the grips on it and everything. There's a lot of little cracks and crevices. So what we're going to do is I want to demonstrate how these spray cans work. All right, so I'm going to move everything out of the way, and we're just going to let this microfiber cloth kind of catch some of the nasty here. Now this quick scrub, let's see, we've got rust preventative, we've got FP10, we've got MC7, we've got a grease pen, and we've got a small application for our FP10. We're going to go over here in a second, and we got various brushes and stuff. So in this bullseye pack, you've got lens brushes and little brushes for cleaning dirt, plenty of stuff. But I want to try this quick scrub. Yeah. Removes fouling, residue, and buildup from action and trigger group assembly. No disassembly required. Will not harm polymers or plastics. All right. We're going to clean this using the quick scrub. And this is a Shooter's Choice product as well. But let's give it a try. We're just going to spray it in there. Literally, this is oven cleaner for guns. And look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It smells like carburetor cleaner. I ain't saying that's what it is. This we'll find out in a second when it eats through these gloves. But it smells like carb cleaner. It's got a strong odor. Now, if you have access to a air nozzle, like if you've got an air compressor with an air blowing nozzle on it, you probably want to go ahead and you know, blow out as much of this as you can. You don't want to leave the solvent in this pistol. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm going to go ahead and step over to my air compressor and just blow the excess solvent off of this frame real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, we got all the built up solvent off of this guy. Now, this quick scrub does a really great job. I will say this, that it doesn't take a lot. You notice I didn't use a heck of a lot. I would say that if you're cleaning your handgun in this way, using something like a product like the quick scrub, you could probably get away with about maybe 8 or 10 cleanings, maybe more, maybe 12, depending on how heavy you go on the solvent. But you need to blow every bit of it out of there and make sure you get it out of the pistol, because you don't want to leave that solvent sitting on, especially polymer. You've got to be very careful with solvents and polymer. But this frame is pretty freaking clean. I mean, you can take your microfiber and just get in there and wipe down a little bit more, but that scrubber took everything out of here. I mean, she's clean. But in doing so, you also removed all the protective oils and everything else that you initially put on your gun when you did your previous bit of maintenance to keep it going. So now that we use solvents, we've cleaned the gun, but now we've also left it exposed. And you know, we've left it a little bit naked. So we've got to put some protectant back on there in order to make life a little bit easier. So that can come in some different forms. We could literally take something like a cleaning patch and some FP10, for instance. Now the FP10, and soak a patch down with some FP10, doesn't really take a ton. And we can go in here with this patch and just go ahead and oil everything up. Okay? And because we removed all this crap off the pistol, we shouldn't really have a ton of carbon on the patch itself. So look there, I just wiped the entire frame off, and look at that. Maybe a little bit of black, but that's all just oil that's on the patch right now. You can go ahead and oil up all the outside. Now, even though this is a Cerakoted surface, I still like to go ahead and oil up the outside, even though it's Cerakote. It just makes it look nice. And it does protect it, because there could be a little tiny nick somewhere in the Cerakote you didn't know about, and if you don't lubricate the entire pistol and wipe everything down, if you have a little exposed spot, you could get some corrosion on there over time, right? So even if it's a Cerakoted surface, I still like to go down, you know, wipe everything down a bit. All right, now what about getting some oil down into some of these little fine cracks and crevices? All right, now I wouldn't just drop like a whole bunch of FP10 down there. That's where this little oiler comes in handy, all right? So this is a little tiny oiler, and this bullseye box comes with a little attachment here. This is like Martha Stewart stuff, you know? Like, this is the Martha Stewart of of gun cleaning. All right, look at this. You got your little needle that goes in here. Okay, now you've got a very fine oiler, a needle oiler that you can apply the FP10 to some very precise little spots. So this is great if I just want to add a little bit of lubricant in a very specific spot, right? So we want to oil up right there. Anywhere there's a pivot, right? A hammer has to pivot on a certain location. Anywhere there's a pivot or something that rubs against each other, look in there, right? Look here, see that lever? Like anywhere like that where there's a little bit of movement, especially if you see an area that's kind of brightened up, right? It's got a little bit of wear, okay? Just get in there and throw some FP10 on it. Doesn't take much. A little goes a long way. Very long way. You don't want to over lubricate. You just want to make sure everything's good to go. And just get in there and inspect. Pay attention to what you're looking at. Look at where things rub together. Look where things move against each other. Look where things pivot against each other. You're looking for wear patterns, okay? So that's to demonstrate and give you an idea of how that oiler works, okay? They also include, in this little kit, I'm just going to go ahead and put this back up. And don't think that this is like a needle. It's just a little fine oiler point. So it's not going to like stab you or anything, okay? They also include this grease pen, all right? So this is the Shooter's Choice all-weather firearm grease, okay? Now, look, I'm going to mention on this grease something you want to probably think about and just pay attention to. Oh, my hands are slippery. That just pops off. Okay. One thing you want to kind of keep in mind on this grease. I know some people swear by grease and they use it a lot, but you want to go gentle on the grease. Do not overdo it because you can overdo it, okay? So what I would do on the grease is anywhere where there's a high wear point that's shiny and it's got, you know, a good bit of wear, I would just apply a little bit of grease on there. And it does not take much. I mean, look at it, literally, like, look at that. Just a little bit of grease, all right? Probably use just a little bit right there. I'm talking a little bit. Not a lot. That's probably enough right there. Same thing on the slide. Okay, now I haven't oiled the slide yet, but I can go ahead. I can totally see that we could use a little bit of grease right here. So it doesn't take much. You can, you know, spread it out with your fingers, and that's one nice thing about using gloves too, is you can just spread stuff out by hand if you wish as well. These CZs are finely fitted guns. They are very nice, but they do have a bit of a tolerance to them that allows them that, you know, as they get dirty, they can certainly continue to be ran with not a ton of consequence. So you do have a little bit of ability. So there's your grease pen. That lets you grease up your firearm. That's looking real nice. All right, we're going to set that aside, and we'll go ahead and apply a little bit of FP10 to our slide as well. Now, Chad and I both have been using FP10 for quite a long time. In fact, he and I were joking around earlier about how we used to sit out under his dad's carport and meticulously clean our firearms after we were done at the range every day. And that was, of course, that's a great practice to get into, right? You want to make sure you take care of your stuff. But we're going to go ahead and just apply, you know, get in here and get as much oil all over everything as we can. Okay. In there. Okay. It's looking good. You want to make sure you don't leave any little dust bunnies behind from the patches. So we'll get in there. It looks pretty good. Now, the only thing that this kit did not include that I think would probably be a very useful thing, you can probably get these through Brownells. You can pick up a set of dental picks or scribes. Those are useful for getting into some, you know, little small areas to kind of gently scrape some of that crap out of there in certain areas. But you can most certainly get away with using the Q-tips as well. I'm going to take one of these out of here, and just on the actual bolt face itself, there's a little radius in there that you probably want to get in there and clean it really good, like right here. I know it's hard to see. Yep, look at that. See the black? See, I failed my own test. All right, so I'm going to take another one. And that was after we scrubbed this down using that solvent. Yeah, so I broke that because I went against it pretty hard. But that looks real nice. I got that bolt face nice and clean. We got a bit of grease here on the rails. Grease where we want it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wipe down the barrel itself. We've already got a patch here that is soaked down with some FP10. I'm just going to go ahead and lubricate it. And again, I want you to notice too, see the wear on this barrel, how many rounds it's had through it? So that's not normal. Like when you pick up this gun brand new at the gun store, you're not going to see that wear pattern because it hasn't been used. But this gun has had some wear on it, and that's perfectly, I guess what I really should have said, that's perfectly normal wear. You're going to see wear in that area as the barrel begins to, get a little bit more worn. But you also need to factor in, okay, well, that's probably where we want to lubricate this thing. So it's okay to just, I dropped a little bit of FP10 right there on the barrel there. Not a problem. We're going to go ahead and just put it back together. All right, put that back in. And of course, the disassembly and reassembly procedure for every pistol is going to be different, of course. All right, we're going to just test fit all this back together. That's nice and smooth. And look, just look at everything as you're putting it back together. Look and see where things move against each other. Check out how it feels. Does it feel smooth? Does it feel clean? Right? All of those things are going to be a factor, right? All right, we're going to go ahead and put this barrel link back in here. All right, that looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and put our grips back on. Do that real quick. And we're going to talk about magazines real quickly. I probably should have left that driver out. Should have known I was going to need it to put it back together, but that's okay. All right. Go ahead and put the grips back on. Be careful not to over tighten. All right, a quick note on screws. Go ahead and whenever you, especially on a firearm, when you put the screw back into the hole that you're going to try to drive the screw into, go ahead and reverse the screw. Go counterclockwise. You're going to feel and listen. All right, listen. You might be able to hear it. Hear that click? All right, that's where the threads, where the threads start. Now we're going to reverse and go clockwise and gently start our screw with just a little bit of pressure. And that way you will make sure that you never cross thread a screw again. Now when it comes down to how tight the screws go, don't get crazy, okay? Don't go farmer tight. Just tighten them up, all right? Those G10 grips are so nice. VZ does a great job on their grips. All right, same thing. We're going to counterclockwise. All right, heard the click. And then we're going to drive her home. All right, that's our grip. Grip panels. Okay, those look good. It's a little proud. That's a little proud. There we go. Yeah. All right, that looks good. We can go through and just take our patch that has been impregnated with FP10 and go ahead and wipe the whole pistol down real nice. That's looking real pretty. I almost don't want to shoot it now. This thing's so clean. No, we're going to shoot it. Believe me, we shoot our stuff. But go through and oil everything up. Now, I don't mind leaving a decent film of oil on my pistols when I store them. Now, this is another thing I'll mention right quick. Okay, so how much oil? How much do you leave on it? Now, right now, this thing is covered in oil, probably to a degree that would be a little crazy to just drop this in a holster and go about your day, right? Now, if you're going to, put the pistol back in your holster and use it to carry or whatever, and you're going to need to manipulate and use it potentially in a life or death situation, you obviously want to probably go through and make sure most of the surface oil is wiped down a bit. You don't want to have something super slick that's hard to get a hold of. But if you're going to just put it back in the safe or something and not use it for a while, by all means, leave a little oil on it. It cannot hurt it one bit. You need all the help you can get because rust is the enemy, right? You know, you don't want rust to develop. You don't want all that carbon to sit around. You'll also get some copper oxidation too. You notice that if you shoot your gun a heck of a lot and you don't clean it after a while, you'll start to see this kind of bluish, greenish buildup. And you're like, what the heck is that? That actually comes from copper deposits that actually oxidize. And as that copper oxidizes, that's where you get that green and blue color. You ever notice if maybe as you clean your gun, you apply solvent, and then when the patch comes out, it's got this blue or green on it. That's because it broke down that copper that was built up in the barrel, and that copper oxidizes over time. So there's lots of little things like that. But of course, we've got everything working tip-top on this pistol. It was very much in need of maintenance. One other thing I'll mention real quick also is magazines. You can disassemble and clean your magazines, and you should periodically disassemble your mags and clean them. And that also allows you to check the strength of the spring. Okay, so a semi-automatic pistol is, okay, an entire sort of organism, if you will, and everything has to work in concert with each other, okay? So if the pistol's not feeding properly, it could be because the magazine springs are messed up, or maybe they're weak. It could be that, all right, maybe you're training and you've dropped this mag 30 times doing some type of a drill or something. Well, guess what? You might have bent the feed lips up on your magazine, right? So these are all things you have to consider. Do the feed lips on the mag look normal? Does the spring feel normal? Does the slide feel normal, right? Have you shot this gun enough and then gotten to the point where it's like, well, wait a minute, this slide, it doesn't have hardly any power at all. Well, you know, you might need to respring it. So these are all things you have to consider. I wanted this video to just serve as, you know, something that can help a lot of you that are looking to, you know, not only get into firearms, but maybe you've already purchased your first firearm and you don't know where to start or what to do. I wanted this video to kind of roll along in real time and for me to just show you, you know, what it's like to mess with this stuff. So we're going to go ahead and put our Huxworks suppressor back on there. It's looking good. Always nice to have a suppressor. You know, this CZ has the high suppressor sights that allow it to clear the suppressor. All right, and I'm going to take this microfiber cloth in a spot that ain't got a whole bunch of crap on it. We'll just wipe everything off a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and clear the surface oil off of this pistol, especially where the cocking serrations are. I don't want those areas to be all oiled up because I don't want my hands to slip if I need to manipulate this pistol. You can take the microfiber cloth and where those serrations are at, whatever the direction of the serration, just wipe like this. And that gets all the little gunk and bull crap out of there that might still be lingering. Dirt and fingerprints and your buddy's nasty hands that you let shoot your pistol. All right, we're going to check everything out. That's probably a little bit of excessive oil right there. All right, we're just going to go ahead and just do a quick function test. Okay, double action. It looks good. Single action. You'll get a little bit of gunk come back between the slide and the lower assembly, the frame. That's normal. That's just where it's pushing a little bit of that grease out the back. That's fine. Looks good. Okay. Single action looks good. Okay, decocker. Decocker works. Slide stop. All right, locks to the rear. Empty mag. Locks to the rear. So our magazine spring is pushing up like it's supposed to. Everything looks good. I think this pistol's ready to go. Ready to keep on going another couple of thousand rounds until we get want a cleaner again. But that's our SP01. Now, some of the things that we went over in this video, I know we kind of worked quick, and I hope that I didn't, you know, work too fast for some people, but I really wanted this to be kind of real time and for me to explain some of the equipment and explain some of the process that we clean. Obviously, if you were just doing this on your own and not necessarily having to explain, you can clean your pistol pretty quickly. All right. Now, I know I spent a lot of time explaining, but once you get used to it, you should be able to clean any handgun pretty quickly. I mean, 20 minutes or so, you can probably get most handguns ready to go. Now, I'll quickly mention rifles and shotguns. not really much of a difference in terms of how we treat these situations, right? If you're gonna clean your shotgun, okay, refer to the manufacturer's instructions and disassemble the shotgun as far as you feel comfortable disassembling it, and then use all the appropriate tools in your shooter's choice box to clean whatever gun you need to clean. All right, if it's a shotgun bore, well, that's okay. Look, we've got shotgun cleaning stuff, right? If it's a rifle bore, okay, we've got a 5.56, 22 caliber, 308 caliber, whatever we need to get the job done. So pretty cool stuff. I wanted to kind of break this out, and it was nice of Shooter's Choice to send this particular box for us to demonstrate for you guys. And I've been meaning to make this video for quite some time anyway. This actually saved me a lot of time, because instead of me having to get together 40 different products and try to explain all of this random stuff to you, this is a great like one-shop stop type of a cleaning kit that you can break out really easily and clean a variety of different firearms. So, you know, big thanks to Shooter's Choice for helping us out with this video. If you do want to go over to their website and pick up some gear, you can use the code IV8888 and you can save yourself 15%, which is great. That's a huge savings. So go over there and check it out, and if you do decide that you want to buy anything, just use our code and you can save yourself 15% off, which is awesome. And I really wanted this video to go in real time, and I hope you can understand that you know, I wasn't trying to ramble on or be very redundant, but for some of you that are new to the firearms world, this is very much so probably confusing to some. So I wanted to go about it in a very methodical and direct way to give you an idea of the things you're going to run into. I would say I most certainly recommend the nitrile gloves for cleaning guns, because that keeps a lot of the crap off your hands, makes life a little bit easier. Also, the lead cleaning wipes are something I strongly recommend if you're handling, even if you're not cleaning your own guns, if you're just at the range handling ammo and shooting, you're going to need to make sure you get that lead off of your hands. So that's just one thing to consider. But all in all, it's a very fun thing to do. Like, cleaning your own firearms is very rewarding. And it's also a great way for you to learn how to disassemble and take care of your own firearms. And, you know, hey, in the world we live in, it's important to know how to take care of your stuff. Take care of your firearms and they will take care of you. So have a good day. Many more videos on the way. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you get all of our videos. And I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you tuning in to today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe some of you learned something. We'll see you soon. Many more videos on the way. Thank you, guys.